Good morning, Year 4. How are you? And welcome to today's reading session. Today's session is going to be all about explaining the meaning of words in context. And to be successful in this lesson, you will be able to pick out the key words from a question to understand what it's asking you. You will then be able to find those key words in the text and be able to read around those key words to try and find the other words that match what the question is asking you. And then you will be able to copy a direct word from the text that you can use as your answer. Now, a retrieval for yesterday's reading. Can you remember the following questions? So pause the video now and have a go at answering these questions on your piece of paper, please. Off you go. Okay, so what lessons did Fred usually have at school on a Wednesday then? Did you remember he had double geography? So that is 2 geography lessons, one after the other. He also had biology, didn't he? Now, where did Lila want to go with the raft this time? Do you remember? That's right, she wanted to try and find the X because they're all trying to find out where the X is. And she wanted to go and find the X because she believed that it would be closer to try and find the X than it would to try and find Manaus, because Manaus is a completely different place to where they are right now. But Con felt a certain way about using this raft again to go to this place that Lila suggested. How did Con feel about going to find the X? She was really nervous, she was really skeptical. Her and Lila actually had a big argument, didn't they? Because they were both battling against each other. Con was saying that they shouldn't go and try and find the X because it's too dangerous. But Lila was saying, how can they ever possibly get home if they don't move from where they are now? And they did have a big argument. Now, who did break that argument up? That's right, Max, the 5-year-old. He broke the argument up. Well, okay. So we've got some vocabulary words for you today. And the first one comes from the page 146. And it's this quote: Con gave a carefully nonchalant shrug. So nonchalant is the first word today, and it's an adjective. It's a describing word, and it has 3 syllables, nonchalant. And when you give a nonchalant shrug, you are feeling or appearing casually calm and relaxed. So you're not displaying anxiety, interest, or enthusiasm for whatever you're talking about. So when Con gave a nonchalant shrug, she was kind of brushing off whatever she was saying, and she was quite relaxed on what she was saying. But as we read the book today, you'll find out that she shouldn't actually be relaxed because she's talking about quite a sensitive subject. And we could also use this word nonchalant in the sentence, he answered in a nonchalant tone. We could also say he answered in a calm tone, or he answered in a cool tone, or he answered in an unconcerned tone. And all 3 of these words are synonyms for this word nonchalant. They all mean the same as this really casually calm feeling, really relaxed. Whereas if we were to look at the antonyms, the opposite words for nonchalant, these would be quite anxious and concerned. So if you're not nonchalant, you are feeling quite anxious, quite concerned about something. And you can see in this picture here that this person is quite cool, they're calm, they're collected, they're really quite unconcerned with what's going on. They've put their shades on and they're blocking everything else out. And that's what Con was doing. She was really casual and calm. And our second word today comes from the page 148. He said it was presumptuous and unhygienic. And presumptuous is our next word today, and it's another describing word, it's another adjective, and it has 4 syllables, presumptuous, okay? Now this definition of presumptuous is a person or their behaviour failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or appropriate. So if something is presumptuous, it means that it's not appropriate, it's quite arrogant or overconfident. And we could use this word presumptuous by saying, I hope I won't be considered presumptuous if I offer some advice. So I hope I won't be overconfident if I offer advice. I hope I won't be arrogant if I'm offering this advice. So something in the book was considered as quite arrogant or overconfident or maybe quite inappropriate. And I wonder what that something might be. And if we're thinking of antonyms, opposite words for this word presumptuous, we're thinking of words such as timid or unassuming. Okay, we're going to carry on from where we left off today and we are going to finish the chapter. So, a tear was running down Con's cheek. So this is just after the argument. Fred pulled a leaf from the wall of the shelter and handed it to her. She mopped her face with it. It didn't do much good. I'm just so tired, she said, and I'm so hungry, and I ache. Lila looked down at her hands. I didn't mean it, what I just said. There was a silence. The rain thumped against the leaves over their heads. I have nightmares about my mamma, said Lila. I dream that she's looking for me, and I'm caught in a tree, and I can't shout, and I can't make her look up and see me. She hesitated. Do you dream about your parents? Fred dreamt of nothing else. His father just out of earshot, just out of reach, while he struggled in the dark to touch him with his fingertips. He half nodded, carefully, non-committal, so he wasn't certain in his response. Con's mouth shaped a word, then fell still. It's not like that for me, she said at last. I live with my great-aunt. What happened to your parents? Asked Lila. They're dead. Con's mouth hardened again, and she set her jaw, as if daring them to sympathize. My mother died when I was 3, and my father was killed in the war, and then a family fostered me. But you just said they had a baby of their own, and they threw me out, so I was sent to live with my great-aunt. Con gave a carefully nonchalant shrug. She didn't really want me, but there were no other options. They kicked you out. They said I bullied the baby. I didn't. But once it was crying and it wouldn't stop, I gave it a tiny slap. Oh, said Lila. Her face was stricken. And I don't know. She paused, swallowed, bit a slither off her thumbnail, and went on. They said I shouted things at the baby. It was only once, truly, and it didn't understand, so why would it matter? Fred nodded. My great-aunt. She sends me to spend summers with the nuns. The nuns? Convent school. That's why I'm in Brazil. The year before that, I was in India. She says the travel will improve my character. I hated it. Do you want to be improved? Lila seemed to be trying not to sound too skeptical. Con tried to smile. Not really. But she likes girls to be quiet and proper. She says I'm rude. I don't mean to be, but then, when I try to be good, what I think is good, she doesn't notice. Or maybe she doesn't care. So mostly I just don't bother. She wiped her nose with her finger and thumb. And I don't think she'll have sent people to look for me. There isn't much money. The convent school paid for my boat fare over here. They have a fund for war orphans. She grimaced, a deep, bitter wince away from her own words, thinking about that, almost crying. Charity case. So when you said, I lied. Your aunt sounds absolutely awful, said Lila. Really, she does, Fred said. He wondered if he should punch Con on the arm, the way the other boys did at school. He decided it might not be a punching occasion. She's just old, really. Con breathed in a deep, shuddering breath, as if she had expelled something weighty. She scrubbed at her eyes with a handful of her hair. I've never told anyone about my foster family. Please don't tell anyone. Who would we tell? Said Fred, looking at the green wall of the jungle around them. Lila unhooked Bacca's claws from her neck and settled him on Con's shoulder. Here, he might try to eat your ears, but he means it in a nice way. A tear ran down Con's cheek. Bacca licked it away. Fred looked at Con. Fred never hugged anybody. His father didn't believe in hugging. He said it was presumptuous and unhygienic. So he's saying that it's a bit offensive if you try and hug someone without them asking you to. But Con looked so suddenly bony and defeated. He made a fist and pushed it softly against Con's shoulder, rocking her sideways. Con waited longer than Fred had expected before she tensed up and, with a half laugh, shook him off. "Okay," she said. Her breath was shaky. "Fine. You win. We'll follow the map." Fred felt something fierce and hot ignite in his stomach. "If we gather grubs and berries today," he said, "we could be ready to go by tomorrow." Lila looked at Con's tense face. "Tomorrow," she said. Con hunched her shoulders and bent her head. It was almost a nod. So, thinking about what you read yesterday, how different were these two parts of the chapter? Pause the video and just have a think. So if you think of the chapter yesterday, it was very argumentative. It was even the way that I told the story, my voice was loud, I was quite aggressive in my tone of voice. But today had changed so much and it became really sensitive and it became all about Con, which is why the chapter is called Con. We found out lots of new things about Con today, which might be the reason for the way that she is. So it might be an explanation for all the times that she's been quite cruel and quite unkind to everyone that's tried to help her in this story so far. So it's really told us a lot. Now, in part 2 of this video, I'm going to be explaining the types of questions that you're going to be coming across today, as well as how you're going to answer them, and then showing you your task for today. So I will see you in part 2 of today's reading session.